It's time to stop procrastinating. Do that 30-day challenge you first saw a few months ago and stop being lazy! I'll be honest, I had no idea how to start this challenge. It was pretty daunting knowing I had all these things I wanted to learn, but no clue how and what to even start with. But I knew I just had to start. So, with the wise words from my past self, so let's see if we can get it. We're gonna become so art to God. But no, Lon, I can't read. 1 bit? When it comes to rendering, I'm always confused. Fish? Fish. Oh! Why is it so big? As I said in the intro, I didn't really have a plan going forward with this challenge. I did know, however, that I wanted to start from scratch and touch on my fundamentals. I say as I never even learned them in the first place. The only reason I started drawing was to make cool things. I went from stick figures to just drawing whatever I wanted. That led to some bad habits that I developed over the years. I coped with the idea that, oh, it's just a sketch, and then struggled for the next couple hours trying to render. I'm pretty sure I did that so my brain could fill in the gaps. I also always struggled with line art and haven't gone around to doing it before this challenge since I never really forced myself to finish an illustration. It was always just sketches and sometimes colors if I felt like it. I debated on even including this, but I wanted to have a sort of test subject as a kind of before and after. So geared with my self-taught knowledge, I drew freehand. Oh, but it's over with. I did line art in Let's Call This Day 0, even though I didn't really enjoy doing line art in general. Sometimes I forget art doesn't really have rules on stylistic decisions and I didn't have to put myself through something other artists also don't enjoy doing. But there's not much I could do about it now, so oh well. The rectangle box and the other rectangle box, it was like This is Guti the Owl, my mod.
I still drink from a cup from time to time.
In the midst of my confusion, Guti came to my rescue and personally helped me get through understanding the fundamentals using what she learned at art school. Draw pelvis separately as a box too, so 2 box and a line in between the 2 box. We have this. And now we have a body. That is a body. I wish I had more than 2 brain cells though, since I'm pretty sure I was giving her a hard time.
Okay, let me screenshot this. I don't know how to explain that I can draw.
But eventually, through sheer discipline, I was able to move forward with my teacher's help. Overall, I feel so much better breaking down the poses of my references compared to before. Now I can approach the foundation of anatomy much more comfortably at a much faster rate than usual. Then we add in the drastic curve, because she's hot like that. Learning the foundation in a way I could understand it better, I was able to go from spending ages on drawing one body to just a few minutes. I started to break down my references more effectively and was able to struggle less on the anatomy part of my drawings. Of course it's not perfect, I still made mistakes, and will continue to make mistakes, but I was glad I gained enough confidence to stop avoiding anatomy altogether, so now we can move on. I decided to work on colors after fundamentals since my color picking skills have always been lacking. I struggled to show depth in my drawings and my colors had absolutely little to no saturation or contrast. So for the next few days, I wanted to focus on that. What about the scrapper? As always, I saw that my colors were still pretty dull, so instead of learning how to actually pick the right colors, do you think layer effects will save me? I just edited it to look right. Or how about a color burn? Whoa there! Oh! Hell yes! I referenced a few YouTubers for fixing my coloring, mainly Nero and Leech-chan. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm so sorry. Both of them use layer effects in their art to get the colors they wanted, so I kinda wanted to try the same thing. We go get a correction layer, posterization, okay, combine it, blur it by 10. Now it's a little blurry, we're gonna clip it, and say that's fine. I started to develop my own routine when drawing, inspired by all the resources I studied leading up to this point. It wasn't solid ground to stand on, but it was starting to feel more familiar as time went on, and I felt ready to move a step up. I knew I would would definitely not be able to do a full illustration in a single stream, since usually my streams are limited to around 2 hours maximum, and I needed more time than that. I decided when it came to tackling a finished piece, I didn't want to stress too much about it, so I gave myself some time to chill out. A little bit too much time. I ended up losing the plot and spending way too much time on this character sketch, and the rest of them followed the same issue. I should have been able to sketch up a full body within a few minutes, but it seemed like I went back to my old habits after I stopped timing myself. But at the same time, I might have been a little anxious tackling full illustrations, even though it wasn't really different from what I was doing the previous day. Though, when I tried to draw a full body after this challenge off camera, I ended up spending around 2 to 3 hours on this doodle and was even able to render her face. I might just have stage fright. Nevertheless, I was able to finish the sketch and some basic lighting to set me up for the next day. But surprise, surprise, I still didn't really know anything about colors and kinda just relied on fixing it later on. Replaying this back, I might have used the multiply layer a little too much. I realize now, to make up for my dull colors, I just casted a really dramatic light on all my illustrations. My takeaway from this is that I need more variety in my lighting. To contrast the dark tone vibe I made with Camellia, I decided to draw Phoebe next, but this time focusing a little bit more on my background instead of the actual character. Out of nowhere, I tried to do some 2-point perspective on day 17, but I just forgot about it for a while and stopped with background practices altogether. I regret this. Back to the Phoebe illustration, I went with the classic Windows default background and again, ran into the same issue. I don't really know what keeps dragging me to picking these colors, but I want it to stop. I didn't have clarity until next stream where I stared at the grass that looked like it was missing a good bit of chlorophyll and thought, I already don't really like the grass. The grass is not greener. So we're gonna paint over it. Surprisingly, she fixed her mistake without blending layers. Thinking about it now, I'd be so done for if someone handed me traditional paint. Like, I'd accidentally make the painting black and white with my horrendous color picking decisions. I went on to finish one more full illustration before I decided to redraw day 0, and even though it's not my favorite and I didn't really want to give it screen time, I feel like I'm running away from my problems if I do that. So instead I'll just pick myself apart. For me, it felt like I still struggled with the colors, but not in the usual way. It felt off looking back at this piece, and it may be because I didn't show depth very well in terms of separating the foreground, midground, and background, and the fact that it felt like the colors didn't really harmonize well together either. I still have a lot to learn when it comes to the complicated issue of colors, but I have a plentiful resource of studies relating to it. It all comes down to if I decide to actually start studying it or put it off for the next couple of months. Before getting into this section, I wasn't able to finish this illustration within the actual 30 days and ended up spending a few more days on this off stream. I know, clickbait, I tricked you! Ah! I did end up recording my progress though with the handy time-lapse feature on Clip Studio, so I'm still able to show the process. The goal I had in mind was to create a similar drawing to day 0 to see how much I improved. I started to feel a bit pressured to really make this a masterpiece though, but a few wise words from someone close to me put me back in my place. If it's good, it's good. And if it's shit, it's shit. For it being so simple, it was actually pretty comforting. If it's good, then yay. If it's bad, then use it to learn and move on. I think this can be applied to anything you're trying to learn. Everyone has some flops, but it's okay and it certainly doesn't mean you should give up. We ourselves are our biggest enemies sometimes. I thought 30 days was a lot of time to cram in the things I wanted to learn, but sadly I was limited by my own capabilities and wasn't able to get around to doing what I kind of structured in my head. If I were to do something like this again, I'll know how to organize it way better. I wasn't able to do a lot of clothing studies compared to the amount of anatomy studies I did, so my end product from day 30 has some subpar shading in her outfit. Speaking of anatomy, it definitely did improve. Like, why is her leg so short here? I didn't even notice that till now. And also, I went from Freeman floating in a light blue abyss to a more thought out version of her fighting her clone in one of the last few episodes. As always, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement, but it's definitely a step up from day 0. I'm just glad I was able to finish this challenge, along with several artworks. Art has always been kind of scary to go back to after I started to care about how my art looked as I grew up. And I went from drawing every single day to drawing maybe once every few months. It's kinda sad that I avoided it for so long. If I looked at a blank white canvas before, it would take so long to get something drawn because I would always worry about the outcome. How did I have time to worry about the outcome if I didn't even try? I don't even know what got me to start this challenge. Whether it was frustration at myself or changing my perspective on things, I'm just glad I did. I genuinely feel like I learned something, so I think this challenge was pretty successful.